Hello and welcome back to Shulchan HaRav. We continue in Hilchos Shmah, Siman, Samech Vav, and we pick it up with Sif Vav. Kohen Shayakar Shmah. So if a Kohen is davening in a minyan and he's holding by Shmah, and now the minions ahead of him, they're up to laning. He gets called up for an aliyah. Yesharmim, there's one opinion. She'ena mafsik, he shouldn't interrupt. Shalai amru lahakdimai el mishum kvoid kunasai. Meaning someone else should take the aliyah. He shouldn't interrupt because the only reason we say no one should go in front of the kohen is because of the kavod due a kohen. Well, that's only im hayapana im makdiman achalafanam. If he's available to take the aliyah and instead they give the aliyah to somebody else, nim shemekin lechvoid kunasai. That looks, it comes out that they're taking his kavod lightly. Aval zed, this case, she'ena yachal likros, he can't take the aliyah mishum kriya shma because he's laning shma. Ein bekan zilzul kavod kunas. It has no effect on. It's not a zilzul. It's not a depreciation of his kavod. Bamesha oili yisrael b'mkayim. If a regular non-kohen person, a Levi or Yisrael, takes that aliyah, because this guy can't take the aliyah. That's one opinion. V'yesham, there are those that say shafil Yisrael, even a non-kohen shikoyer kriya shma that's laning shma, or kar'ula alis l'sefer Torah, and he gets called up for an aliyah in the middle of Shema, mafsik afil be'emsa parak. Even in the middle of a paragraph, he has to make a interruption. Because it's out of the deference of mortal people that he's got to show. They call him up to aliyah, and he's not going to go up because he's laning. So he's got to do that. So certainly he does that in honor and deference to the Torah. Meaning, we said before, if a person was talking to you, right, and you were allowed to respond in certain instances. So certainly here, where you're getting called up for an aliyah, you can go up and take your aliyah, and therefore a kohen also obviously could be mafsik. Even a non-kohen could be mafsik. Certainly a kohen. And says the Shulchan HaRav, that is the custom in our countries, and meaning in Ashkenazic countries. And don't change this minig because of machlokes. Mikol makom. Nevertheless, when this does happen and you have to take the aliyah, lo yikor ima chazan klal. Don't read the words with the chazan, which is what you're supposed to do, right? When you get an aliyah, really you're supposed to read it yourself. But we know that most people can't lane, right? So we're not going to expect the average person to come up there and lane his own aliyah. They have a designated balkairei. He's reading, but you're supposed to be reading every single word with the balkairei. In this case, you should not read any words with the balkairei. And we can rely on the other opinion that says that you're saying your bracha on the laning, even though it's only the hearing of the laning from the guy who's doing the reading. In this case, since you're in the middle of Shema, we're going to rely on that opinion. Generally, we do not rely on that opinion. You're supposed to read all the words. Siman Kuf Mem Aleph. This will be explained later in the halachas of laning. Mikol Shekain, certainly you certainly shouldn't stop and interrupt. You're in the middle of Shema, essentially. You're just waiting for you have an aliyah, so you have to wait. But you certainly shouldn't interrupt and tell the chazan to give him mishaberach, right? After this aliyah is over and you've said your brachas, you return to where you were holding by Shema. You don't have to go to the beginning and start over. Even if it was a long aliyah and it took long enough, or you were like towards the end of Shema and you waited long enough to complete the entirety of Shema, since you did this willingly, because you chose to take your aliyah, this is not called an oinus in the situation. Yes, you're supposed to take the aliyah, but you're doing it because you want the aliyah, but you're not forced into doing something. And as we've learned before, if there's no oinus, there's nothing that's forcing you to interrupt. Everybody agrees that you just pick it up back where you left off, like we learned in the last Siman. Have a terrific day.